Michael Hayes is a man forgotten by the world. Once full of dreams, now a struggling janitor and single father doing whatever it takes to provide for his daughter, Lily. Life hasn't been kind. His wife died young, leaving behind only memories. And the piano Lily can't afford to play. Each night, Michael scrubs the marble floors of Reed Enterprises, a towering monument to ambition and wealth. At the top of that tower reigns Alexandra Reed, CEO, billionaire, and as cold as the stone halls. She commands. She has no time for small talk, no patience for weakness, and no understanding of the kind of life Michael leads, until one night, a chance encounter, and everything changes. What begins as pity evolves into something neither of them expected, a connection deeper than status, built on resilience, secrets, and the shared scars they both hide. But Alexandra has enemies, and Michael's past isn't as buried as he hoped. This is a story you will want to sit back and enjoy. Before we start, I would like you to subscribe, like, and comment on this video from where you are watching from. Your support helps us bring more powerful stories. Let us begin. The echo of a mop bucket rolling down an empty hallway was the only sound Michael Hayes had for company at 11:42 p.m. Another night, another shift, another reminder that his dreams had long since dried up like the water streaking across the cold marble floor. He glanced at his watch, cracked and faded. 12 minutes left. If he finished quickly, he could catch Lily before she fell asleep. He imagined her curled on the couch with a book far too advanced for her age, the frayed sleeves of her oversized hoodie pulled over her hands, the one with her mother's name stitched into the tag. Michael smiled through the ache in his knees. He wrung the mop and pushed it across the floor. The marble tiles gleamed under the soft glow of designer light fixtures. Everything in Reed Tower screamed perfection, polished surfaces, cold air. No room for flaws, and that included people like him. "Out of the way," barked a voice behind him. Michael jerked to the side, nearly spilling the mop bucket as a sleek pair of black heels clicked past him. Alexandra Reed, Queen of the Glass Castle. She didn't look at him. She never did. Tall, poised, and wearing a navy suit that probably cost more than his yearly rent, Alexandra swept through the corridor like a storm on stilts. Her assistant trailed behind her, half running. "I said cancel the Singapore call." "They can wait," she said without looking up from her phone. "And I want the acquisition terms by morning. No excuses." The assistant nodded breathlessly and vanished into an elevator. Alexandra turned a sharp corner toward her office. Michael blinked, then froze. Her key card. It lay on the floor, inches from where she'd passed. He hesitated. She never noticed him. Would she now? Did he even want her to? But something told him not to leave it. Not tonight. He picked it up, dusted it off, and followed her path toward the executive wing. The air grew colder with each step. Richer. The hallway smelled like imported leather and control. He stood before her office door. Solid oak. A brushed steel nameplate, Alexandra Reed, CEO. He raised his hand to knock and stopped. The door was already open. Inside, Alexandra sat at her desk, her face buried in her hands. Her shoulders trembled, barely, but enough. Michael stepped back. This was a woman the world feared, a woman whose gaze could shatter stock prices, and yet here she was, crying. He turned, meaning to leave. "Wait." Her voice cracked. Michael froze. Her eyes met his, and for the first time in 2 years of silent hallways and scrubbed floors, she saw him. "You dropped this," he said, holding out her card. But she wasn't looking at it. She was looking at him, not with her usual ice, but something raw, conflicted. "I need a favor," she whispered. Michael's throat went dry. "Excuse me?" She stood, slowly. Her hands shook as she reached for her blazer. "I need someone I can trust, just for one night, someone invisible." He didn't know what possessed him to ask. Maybe it was the crack in her voice. Maybe it was the memory of his wife saying, "Sometimes people are broken in places you can't see." What kind of favor? She stepped forward, inches away now. Then she said something that would change everything. "I need you to come with me." "Tonight." Michael hesitated. The fluorescent hallway buzzed quietly, pressing in around them like it too was waiting for his answer. Go with her? The CEO? Was she serious? I don't understand, he said, still holding out the keycard like it might shield him from whatever this was. Alexandra took it gently, her fingers brushing his. "You're not supposed to," she said. "Not yet." Then she turned and walked past him, fast. Her heels echoed down the marble like gunshots. At the elevator, she glanced back once, just once, and raised a brow. "Well?" Michael glanced back toward the janitor's closet. His cart, his mop, his life. He had no reason to follow her except, maybe he did, because something in her voice reminded him of the nights Lily cried herself to sleep quietly, thinking he didn't hear. He ran to catch up. The elevator doors slid shut behind them, sealing them inside the small golden box. The silence was suffocating. Alexandra didn't look at him. She stared straight ahead, arms crossed, as if this was perfectly normal, dragging a janitor along for some mysterious errand in the middle of the night. Michael cleared his throat. "Is everything all right?" "No." She didn't elaborate. They rode down 35 floors in silence. The lobby was empty when the elevator opened. No guards, no reception. She strode across the polished floor like she owned it, which technically she did, and pushed through the revolving glass doors. A black car idled at the curb, the kind of car with tinted windows and a driver who doesn't ask questions. The driver opened the door without a word. Alexandra turned to Michael. "Get in." "Where are we going?" he asked. "Somewhere quiet." Wanted to say no. Every part of him screamed it. He had Lily. He had a life to hold together with tape and string, but he got in anyway. The door closed behind him like the lid of a coffin. They drove in silence. The city lights blurred past the tinted glass, casting shadows across her face. She looked different in the dark. Less sharp, more human. Fragile even. Michael watched her out of the corner of his eye. "You going to tell me what this is?" "I've been followed," she said flatly. He blinked. "What?" "Twice this week. Same car, tinted windows, no plates. I reported it, of course. But someone's trying to scare me." "Why me?" he asked, stunned. "Why not?" "I don't know. Security? The police?" She laughed under her breath, not the kind of laugh that said something was funny, the kind that said something was broken. "I've learned not to trust the people closest to me, especially the ones on my payroll." He didn't respond. Then she added, "You've been working in my building for how long?" 2 years, he said. "Third shift. No one notices me." "Exactly," she said, finally turning to face him. "That's why I chose you. You're invisible, which means you're useful." The words stung more than they should have. He wasn't used to being noticed, especially not by someone like her, but now that he was, it still felt like being used. "You could have just called security." She paused. "Security is part of the problem." The car slowed and turned off the main road onto a narrow, winding drive flanked by tall trees. Michael frowned. "Where are we?" She didn't answer. The car pulled up to an old, gated property. Not one of the slick glass mansions he expected from someone like her, but a stone house, ivy-covered and tucked deep into the woods. The gate opened on its own. Alexandra leaned in. "I need to show you something," she said quietly. Michael swallowed. The driver opened the door. He stepped out onto the gravel drive. The night was still. Too still. Alexandra led him inside. The interior was cold, glass and stone, nothing personal. A fortress. They walked down a narrow hallway to a sealed room. She paused in front of it and looked back at him. "I didn't know who else to trust," she said. But if you go in there, you can't unsee it. Do you understand? Michael nodded slowly. Alexandra opened the door. Inside was a single table. A manila folder sat atop it. She walked in, picked it up, and handed it to him. Michael opened it, and what he saw made the blood drain from his face. There were surveillance photos of Alexandra, of her building, and of him, standing in the hallway, mopping the floors. Looking up, Michael's voice caught in his throat. "What the hell is this?" Alexandra's face was pale. "They're not just watching me," she whispered. "They're watching you too." Michael stared at the photos, his stomach twisting. Him, mopping the floor, taking out the trash, walking Lily to school. No, no, no! His fingers trembled as he pulled out the next image. A long lens shot of him and his daughter on a park bench. She was laughing, her head tilted back, eyes closed. He hadn't even known the photo had been taken. "They've been following me for weeks," Alexandra said, her voice low. "But then they started watching others, people who crossed paths with me, my assistant, my driver, then you." Michael backed away from the folder like it was radioactive. "This is insane," he said. "Why me? I'm nobody." She gave him a sharp look. "Someone disagrees." He paced the room. "This could be anything, coincidence, mistaken identity." "Michael," she interrupted, stepping in front of him. "This isn't random. Whoever this is, they're meticulous, strategic, and they want me isolated, scared, paranoid." She walked to a small cabinet and pulled out another folder, heavier. She handed it to him. "What is this?" "Everything I've been gathering," she said. "Records, emails, financial trails, discreet internal audits. Something is rotting. Inside my company. I can feel it, and it started about 3 months ago." He flipped through the contents. Some of it meant nothing to him. Balance sheets, strange notations. But then he spotted a name that froze him. Daniel Mercer. He stared at it, lips parting. Alexandra saw his reaction. "You know him?" Michael sat down hard in the nearby chair. "Daniel Mercer is... He was my wife's lawyer." "Your wife?" she asked carefully. He nodded, eyes distant. "Before she died, he handled her estate. There wasn't much, but even that disappeared. Claimed there was nothing left to fight for." Alexandra took a slow breath. "He's been laundering money through a shell company tied to one of my subsidiaries." Michael shook his head. "This doesn't make sense." "It does," she said, voice clipped. "If your wife's assets were redirected, they might have used them to fund something bigger, something they didn't want on paper. My paper." He leaned back, running a hand through his hair. "So what do we do?" "You help me," she said. He looked at her like she'd lost her mind. "Me?" "Yes. You're the only one I can trust right now. I need someone invisible, someone they don't suspect." "And what? You want me to go spy on people?" "I want you to be my eyes inside my own company," she said, stepping closer. "My hands are too visible. My people are compromised. But you..." She paused. "You have access. You're in every floor, every hallway, every office. No one sees you. That's power." Michael felt like the floor had dropped from beneath him. A janitor with power. He looked at the pictures again, at Lily's face. He thought about the rent notice, the empty fridge, the way she hugged him like he was her whole world. If someone was watching them, if someone was threatening what little they had left, he couldn't just walk away. "Okay," he said. "I'll do it." Alexandra's expression didn't change, but something behind her eyes softened, just a little. "I'll send you a secure phone," she said. "Use it only when you're alone. No one else can know." She started to turn away, but Michael caught her arm gently. "There's something else," he said, "about the photos. One of them. It wasn't taken from the street." Alexandra frowned. "What do you mean?" Michael picked up the shot of him and Lily at the park. He pointed to the angle of the background, too close, too low, too clean. This wasn't shot from far away. This was taken from the playground. Alexandra's face went pale. Then she pulled out her own phone, typed something and held it up. "Recognize this girl?" she asked. Michael looked at the screen. It was Lily, standing next to a woman, smiling, but he didn't know the woman. She wasn't a friend, wasn't from the school, wasn't from the building. "I've never seen her before," he whispered. Alexandra's voice was cold and flat. "She's not in any government database. No DMV record, no employment. She's a ghost." Michael's chest tightened, his voice cracked. "She was near my daughter?" Alexandra nodded grimly. "They're not just watching you, Michael." She looked him dead in the eyes. "They've already gotten close." Wait, ensure to subscribe, like, and comment on this story. Thank you. Michael couldn't sleep that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Lily's face, smiling up at a stranger, trusting, innocent, and he saw that woman's face too. A ghost, Alexandra called her. But ghosts didn't linger. This one was watching and close. He sat at the kitchen table, the apartment silent except for the occasional groan of the radiator. Lily was asleep in her bedroom, curled up with her stuffed rabbit and blissfully unaware that her father's heart was hammering like a war drum. He stared at the burner phone Alexandra had given him. It felt like a loaded weapon. One message blinked. On the screen, level 47, 9:30 a.m., blue folder, cleaner's closet behind east stairwell. That was all, no sign-off, no explanation. He stared at it for a long time, then slowly powered it off. The next morning, he dressed like he always did. Navy jumpsuit, steel-toed boots, ID clipped at the waist. Same mop, same cart, same invisible man. Only now, every glance over his shoulder carried weight. Every camera mounted in the hallway suddenly felt like a pair of eyes. Every employee who brushed past him, a threat in a tailored suit. By 9:25, he was outside the east stairwell of level 47. The air smelled of industrial cleaner and new carpeting. Just outside the closet door, a group of employees were chatting over coffee. One of them, a tall man in a navy tie, laughed too loudly. Michael waited. At 9:31, they moved on. He slipped into the closet, heart thudding, and closed the door behind. A hymn. It was dark, except for the sliver of light coming through the base. Buckets and supplies lined the walls, but on the top shelf, barely visible, was a blue folder. He reached up and pulled it down. Inside were printed emails, ledgers, and a photo. He flipped to it and froze, the ghost woman smiling in a lab coat. Her ID badge read, Dr. Evelyn Rourke, R&D, Emerge Tech Division. Michael had never heard of it. He flipped the photo over, scribbled. In handwriting, she was terminated 2 years ago, so why is she still accessing the building? He exhaled slowly. Before he could study the rest, something creaked outside the door. A footstep, then another. He froze, reached for the mop. Ridiculous, but the only thing in reach. A key rattled in the lock. He backed into the shadows, holding his breath. But instead of the door opening, a folded piece of paper slid under it, and footsteps retreated. He crouched and picked it up, 5 words written in quick block letters. They know she's not safe. Michael shoved the folder and the note into his uniform and burst out of the closet, scanning the hallway. Empty. He hurried down the stairs, phone back on. 1 bar. He called Alexandra. She answered on the second ring. "They know!" he hissed. "Someone just left me a message. And there's more. The ghost, she has a name. Dr. Evelyn Rourke. She worked in your R&D division." Alexandra was silent for a moment. Then her voice dropped. "Michael, I don't have a division called Emerge Tech." "What?" "I've never approved anything under that name. Not in any records I've ever seen. If it exists, it's off books, deep off books." Michael stopped mid-step on the landing. "Then who's funding it?" "I don't know," she whispered, "but I'm going to find out." Before he could respond, a second message buzzed through his burner phone. This one came with a picture, Lily, sitting outside her school. Next to her was the woman from the park. Only this time, she was looking directly at the camera and smiling. See you soon. Michael ran out of the stairwell, past stunned office workers, down to the garage. He didn't wait for the elevator. He bolted. By the time he reached the school, his chest was on fire and his vision blurred, but Lily was gone. The security guard told him she'd been picked up 30 minutes ago by someone on the approved list. Approved. Michael had never approved anyone. He demanded the footage. They showed him the feed. And there she was, Dr. Evelyn Rourke, wearing sunglasses, holding Lily's hand, smiling as they walked to a sleek silver car. The license plate was blurred. Intentionally, Michael could tell. He called Alexandra. His voice was hoarse, breaking. "She has Lily." There was a pause. "I know where she's going," Alexandra said. "There's only one place left." It took Alexandra less than an hour to mobilize a private vehicle, a name, and an address. Not through official channels. She didn't trust them anymore. Neither did Michael. They drove northeast, past the edge of the city, to a wooded compound. Guarded by steel gates and silent cameras, there was no signage. Just trees and a long, quiet driveway. Alexandra killed the headlights. "This is one of our former testing facilities, shut down years ago, or so I thought. If Evelyn's alive and active, she's been hiding here." Michael stepped out, fists clenched. "I'm getting my daughter back." Inside the compound, it smelled of dust and electricity. The lights flickered as they entered. Through the glass walls, Michael saw pieces of a forgotten past. Disassembled machines, sealed labs, names scratched off doors. And in the center wing, a light was on. He moved fast, heart pounding, Alexandra close behind. When he pushed through the door, there she was, Lily, sitting on a couch, safe and unharmed, cradling a hot chocolate, and across from her, Dr. Evelyn. Rourke, calm, poised, unafraid. "I knew you'd come," Evelyn said softly. "I wanted you to." Michael's rage boiled. "You took my daughter." "I protected her," Evelyn countered. "From them." Alexandra stepped forward, voice cold. "What are you talking about?" Evelyn rose, her eyes haunted. Emerge tech wasn't about innovation. It was about control. Predictive behavior modification, AI-driven compliance on children. Your board funneled money into it under the radar. They used my research, then tried to erase me when I refused to continue. Michael's hands trembled. Evelyn turned to Lily, her face softening. "She's special, pure. They'll want her, and I won't let that happen." Alexandra's voice cracked for the first time. "I didn't know." "No," Evelyn said bitterly, "but you do now." Michael moved to Lily, who ran into his arms. He held her tight, whispering, "You're okay. I've got you." Evelyn handed Alexandra a drive. "Everything's on here, every name, every test, every off-book authorization." Then she looked at Michael. "They'll come after you now, both of you. But now you have truth on your side." Sirens echoed in the distance. Alexandra's private team coming to secure the facility. Evelyn stepped back into the shadows. "Go," she said. "Tell the world." Epilogue 3 weeks later. The story broke like a thunderclap. Alexandra Reed stood before the press, flanked by lawyers and investigators, revealing the hidden Emerge Tech files and vowing justice for the cover-ups. Heads rolled. Board members vanished. Michael watched from his small apartment, Lily asleep beside him on the couch. He turned off the TV. Peace was fragile, temporary, but it was theirs. He tucked a blanket around his daughter and whispered, "No more shadows." Outside, dawn was breaking, a new day.